Hey, it's Christopher Westfall here with a little tip that might help you, as it has helped me greatly. My business is targeting people that are 67 years old to 75 for Medicare supplements. Why? Because turning 65 folks are bad for a few reasons for my business. First, there are a whole bunch of people competing for the people turning 65, lots of companies direct and all that, big organizations cold calling them, knocking on their doors and everything else. Secondly, even if I get a person that's 65 years old and I compete with everybody else to do so, they're going to make me the least amount of commission because they pay the lowest premium. They're only 65 years old. So my target demographic is 67 to 75. Why 67? Because they already know Medicare, they're frustrated by a rate increase, and they've already educated themselves either through themselves or most typically through an agent that has now left them, signed them up once, they'll never hear from them again. They don't do follow-up like send-out cards like I do to keep people around. So 67 years old, they're frustrated, they're looking for something else, and they've just about gotten that latest rate increase, or they got it within the last 6 months, so it's still fresh in their mind and they're angry about it. Why do I stop at 75? Because over 75, I know that their health is likely to not get them qualified with the majority of our companies. As they get incrementally older, the chances of them being less healthy increase dramatically. A 76-year-old is going to be less healthy, therefore less likely to qualify on underwriting than a 75-year-old. So at some point you have to find that balance between, yes, I want the person that's going to cost more premium, where I can generate the most savings and get them to switch because the dramatic difference in savings is greater versus their rate increase where their agent left them when they turned 65, versus the person cannot qualify anymore because they're just so old, like a 79, 80, 81-year-old would be far less likely to qualify medically based on the underwriting criteria given most of our companies. So the sweet spot that I found is someone born between 1945 and 1937, otherwise translated as 67 years old to 75. I encourage you to write that figure down, 1945 to 1937. That's where the sweet spot is. Let me tell you how to find that with InfoFree. What we used to do with InfoFree, given the limited options on how you can search, is we would search for everyone 65 and over, because that's the only category we have for seniors, 65 and over. We would download all this data, and in downloading the data, we would then have to open it up in Excel and chop off the dates that are outside the parameters we're looking for. Very labor intensive and kind of a pain to explain to people on how to do that, new people in my office or other agents. So we found another way, and what would seemingly appear to be a limitation is really not once you've tried it a few times. So I'm going to put in a, let's put in a county where I live, for example, although I don't mark it here, Volusia County, Florida. I go to the next screen. My income criteria is I select them all and I chop off the lowest income because they're typically on Medicaid or Medicare Advantage. Now I'll go to the next one, and here's where it gets fun. I used to do 65 and over. Don't do that anymore. Now it says I can enter up to 15, but it only gives me 5 blanks here. So what I do is I start with 1937, 1938, 1939, 1940, 1941. Then I go to the next page. I limited my data download down to this right here. Now I'm going to select those with phone records. Now I'm way below the 10,000 limit per 30-minute download. But wait a minute, I'm going to go back to the last screen, and you can see that I've selected those dates of birth here on the bottom right, but I can enter more. What did I start at? I did 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Now I can do 1942, 1943, 1944, 1945. And I'm done. Now I've got 67, see here on the bottom right, 67 through 75 years old. And getting those with phone records, usually I'm way less than this, but I just happen to live in a very senior populated county. I can take off the do not call out of this, and I'm left with just 2,600 people that are exactly in my target demographic. Now see, had I just left it with 65 and over, I'd probably be at 25,000 records. Even scrubbing the do not call list within InfoFree, I would still probably be around 10,000 records. But now I can narrow this list down to exactly who I want and not one record more than that. I simply hit download, and now I'm done. I can merely upload that to my predictive dialer, and I've got exactly the demographic I'm looking for, 67 through 75, and I can still go back in here and download the next county, the next county, the next county. So I can do all my data pulling at one time rather than doing a lot of time in Excel chopping off those dates of birth and those folks that I really don't want to use anyway, which would contribute to my overall download totals, which I just don't need to be that high. I hope this has been a benefit to you, because it certainly has to me. I'm going to go back through there again, and if you missed it, here's the trick. Go to Volusia County, I select all, I take off the under 25,000, I enter my dates of birth like this. I go to the next screen, and what I really do is I just go back to the next screen before that, and these stay there on the bottom right. So 1942, 1943, 1944, 1945, and I'm done. Now I go to the last screen and I check my boxes, and I'm down to the limit that I wanted. So you really can put 15 dates of birth in there, just not all on the same screen. You have to go to the next one, and they add them, and then you go back and limit that data down even more. Hope this has been of a big help to you, and all our goal is in this business is to help seniors. I'm telling you, if they can really hear that in your voice, that you're trying to give them information, our service is free, and our typical savings is $50 per month per senior, then they'll listen to you. They can really sense when you're trying to make a sale or trying to help them. Have a great day. Bye-bye.